So, first things first, how has quarantine been for you, man?
It's been the same. I'm not a big party person or someone who goes out a lot. Pretty much just training and sleeping and eating, and that's pretty much it. So the only difference is I'm spending a lot of time with my family, which is really nice because it gives me that energy and when I do have to train, it's good. Everything's all good.
I mean, obviously training had to be very different because I'm sure a lot of it was from home. You're in Toronto, right? Or
Close to Niagara Falls, a small town called Welland.
okay, yeah, I'm in Nova Scotia, so everything was shut down for
Yeah.
months. So what was the gym like? Was it all online classes, or were you doing a lot of stuff on your own? Or
Yeah. So for myself, I've been training with my little brother. He's a boxer. He's won Golden Glove championships and all that. So we've been hitting pads. He holds for me. I hold for him. We'll go for runs, weights. We got a bag in the back, so we're doing a lot of training at my house. And other than that, it's just not having the partners. But it's all the same schedule. He wrestles, he does jiu-jitsu, and we work together and as much as we can, anyways. And yeah.
so it's weird because usually with siblings, one ends up following the other in the exact same footsteps. Why MMA for you, and why boxing for him? Like, why didn't you guys go down the same route?
It's I don't know. It's a good question. Maybe eventually he'll transition to MMA, but my job is to do what I enjoy, and his job is to do what he enjoys. If it's not even boxing he wants to do in the future, and he's gonna excel and do something great, then I'm happy for him. He doesn't have to do exactly what I have to do. Same with my sister. She does some jujitsu, but she's also a star in gymnastics. She wants to be in the Olympics one day as well. So yeah, great things coming with those two.
A very athletic family you got there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, with us it was two older brothers who were swimmers, and then the little one ended up playing soccer. So very
Okay.
similar, where we ended up taking different routes.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I when I was a kid, I wanted to be a professional soccer player.
Oh
But in Canada, it's hard, right? It's tough.
yeah, my
So yeah.
yeah my brother got spotted fortunately when he was 7, so he's overseas playing in Switzerland. But if he
Oh,
had
wow.
continued down the road here, there's been nothing available for him. They play
Yeah,
for Toronto or something, but definitely not. There's no future really in soccer in Canada.
yeah, yeah. It's a tough thing to do.
So, first things first, man. Congratulations on being announced to fight on the Contender Series. How does it feel?
It's one step closer to my dream. Every interview, they ask me what the goal is, and I always say it's the UFC. I gotta get there. I will get there, and now it's like one more step. I'm climbing up the ladder, and I'm almost there, and then I can set my new set of goals. And yeah, it's a dream come true, but I still have to keep my head down and focus on what I have to accomplish.
So you're now 7-0 as a professional. How do you summarize, I guess, your overall career so far? And what's your analysis on your fights?
I'd say very fortunate. A lot of people have a tough road, especially at the beginning. People start with an up and down record. I've been very fortunate that I've had the right opponents, I guess I could say. Tough guys that have really pushed me to my limits, whether it's jujitsu, striking, and it's not just padded records. There's a lot of guys who have easy opponents, and they end up finding out in the UFC that they don't fit because it's just too much for them. But I've had guys who, like I said, have tested me, and even at the amateur level, I've gone against good wrestlers, good strikers. And my second amateur fight, I lost to a wrestler, and I learned from it. And now I love wrestling. Wrestling is my favorite thing to do. And then now I'm also incorporating my striking and mixing it up. So it's very fortunate so far.
So you hear about guys going, like you said, you hear about guys going into the UFC with undefeated records, but you also hear about a lot of guys who have fought through adversity early on in their career, faced losses, and they say that the loss is the best way to learn a lesson. Um, how have you, I guess, adapted fight to fight, knowing that I won last fight. Well, why don't I just go in with the exact same game plan? So how do you stay motivated and how do you improve your game without, a loss or a lesson?
I think it's the tiny battles that people don't notice, whether just a position that you lose in a fight, you learn from it. You don't always have to lose. Yes, you get a lot of benefit from it, but I feel like that's the extreme of learning. But you can also learn like the little tiny battles. I've been caught in submissions that I've gotten out of, and I've learned from it, and that's kind of how I'm able to grow. And going over those positions with my coaches, it's just people don't realize that you don't always have to lose to learn. You can learn from your mistakes in every fight.
So what's your I'm sure, I mean, it's brand new news. I'm sure you haven't had a whole lot of time to dig into to your opponent. But what's your overall thoughts of Mike Breeden on the research you've done so far?
I don't really research my opponent. It's pretty much my coaches. So I know he's probably a great opponent. He's going to be my toughest opponent for sure. I know that he's fighting for exactly what I want, and I know the passion I have in this sport, and I'm sure he has the same. So it's going to be a great show, and we're going to do our everything to get this contract. So I'm excited to test my skills against someone great.
So the the Contender Series is quite different because the goal isn't always just to win. There's guys there watching you, making sure you put on an exciting show. Is the game plan a little bit different, knowing that there's a lot on the line, and a finish means so much more in this fight than it would in any other fight?
I think I've had that criticism my whole career. I've had a lot of decision wins because my game is just so dominant in the wrestling and the striking. I'm able to mix it up, and I'm able to control the entire fight um, just by just dominating people on the ground. And also my last fight, I was able to finish it by knockout. So it's pretty much I don't really know how to explain it. It's the same pressure. I've had this pressure for a long time. I'm really used to it. People saying, "Oh, you should have knocked this guy out," and all this, or you need to get this knockout to get noticed by the UFC. So all this, like, it's normal for me, and you've seen what that pressure has done for me over my last couple of fights. I've had a rear naked choke finish. I've had a knockout. So you can see that I can finish the fight, and it's just going to be the same for my next fight.
Another thing that adds a lot of pressure is an empty arena. You're going to hear everything. You're going to hear pin drops. You're going to hear commentary. You're going to hear everything. Have you ever competed in front of an empty arena? And if not, how do you think that's gonna make like impact your performance?
Um, Pretty much it's just like training at the gym. It's lately we've been training without any music, just hearing my coaches, hearing my teammates yelling, just like my opponent's coaches would be. So it's pretty much the same. Obviously, there's a lot on the line. So that's pretty much it. I've been through adversity. I've been through that pressure. I've been cut in fights and all this, and it's like I said, it's just going to be the same, and I'm just excited to get that contract and achieve one of my goals and get one step closer to my ultimate goal of becoming a champion.
For people who aren't, I guess, aware of your background and what got you into the sport, what is your background? How did you get into MMA? Obviously, you went to Brock University, so it's weird to hear people going to Brock or these high level universities and then transitioning to MMA. So what got you into it?
Yeah, so as a kid, my parents wanted me to have some sort of self-defense, some sort of martial arts, and Taekwondo was the only thing in Welland where I live, and that's what I did, and I ended up getting my black belt. But I started to slowly realize that breaking boards isn't the best self-defense. It's really flashy, and it's a great way to start martial arts, to learn the basics of how to throw a kick and all that. But I watched UFC fights, Anderson Silva versus Patrick Cote, and I loved it. It was awesome. Anderson Silva was a huge role model, and another gym opened up here in Welland, and I went there and I started doing kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, and it just went on from there. I was training people who were competing in MMA because they were of the legal age, and just watching them come back and all happy after winning or coming back and sad from losing, and just seeing that option there of becoming a professional athlete just really opened my eyes, and it's something that I really wanted to do, and it's a huge passion of mine.
You mentioned Patrick Cote, one of the pioneers of Canadian MMA. You see guys like George and Rory and all these guys. How does it feel to kind of follow in their footsteps and really represent Canada on a stage like the UFC, or not quite yet, but the Contender Series?
I'm excited. It's very rare to see a Canadian in the Contender Series, let alone a UFC card. So I'm very excited to fill up those arenas and get some Canadians on the card. There's a lot more Canadians coming at my gym, a lot of other gyms that I know of, big stars coming up. So I'm excited, and I'm very proud and happy to represent the country of Canada, and also El Salvador.
What's the is there any worry about the potential of having troubles getting back into Canada? Obviously, with the pandemic and the quarantine and all that stuff going on, is that something that's crossed your mind? Like, I'm gonna get over to the States. How am I gonna get back?
Yeah, it's something that we'll figure out when we get there. It's as long as I can get there and achieve my goal, then I'll be happy, and we'll worry about that after.
Are you worried about getting stuff up your nose and all that stuff, all the tests?
I thought about it, but I've felt worse pain than that. Yeah.
How what's your take on all like the UFC doing what they're doing? Obviously now things are starting to open up. You hear Bellator, LFA, Invicta, all these organizations are starting to put on events. But what's your take as a fighter and someone who obviously wants to compete? What was your take when the UFC initially said, "We're just going to put on these events. We're going to spend a bunch of money. We're going to put them on for the fans." What's your take from a fighter perspective?
As a fighter, it's awesome because it's what we do for as our job, right? It's how we get paid. If there's no fights, we don't get paid at all. We just sit and train and maybe potentially get hurt and not do anything at all, right? On the medical side, it's probably not the safest thing, but they're doing their best to keep everyone safe. There's been cases where some fighters have had the coronavirus, or their coaches, and they've dealt with it and fixed it. I'm sure they're doing the best they can, and it's entertaining for sure, especially these last couple of cards. So I'm happy with it, and it's a goal of mine, and I'm going to try to achieve it, and obviously be as safe as possible doing it.
There was a lot of attention surrounding some of the fights these past couple weeks. One being Mike Perry having his girlfriend in his corner. As someone who's going into the Contender Series, is that something you'd consider being like, you know what, I'm just gonna bring my girlfriend, screw coaches?
I love my girlfriend, but I'll probably stick with my coaches. And maybe one day she could be in my corner. But right now, I really need to focus on the goal. And she definitely helps me. She's a university wrestler at Brock University. And yeah, that'd be cool. But right now, we'll focus on my coaches. I can only bring two, so that's my excuse right now.
uh, Big fights there coming up on Fight Island. What's your prediction for the main event? Gilbert Burns, Kamaru Usman, and would you because they're fighting, they're teammates. What's your take on teammates fighting?
It's interesting because they pretty much know everything about each other. They've done many rounds together. But what's cool is that they're reaching out to different coaches. I don't know what Gilbert Burns is doing exactly, but I've seen some videos of Kamaru Usman training with Justin Gaethje over there, and just getting a different take on fighting, some different skills, which is what you need, because if both guys know what each other are gonna do, then it's a weird matchup, right? But it's what you have to do in the sport, right? Gilbert Burns wants that title, and this is the only way he's going to get it. I'm sure he doesn't want to wait to see what's going to happen. So he's a fighter, and Kamaru's a fighter, and they're going to see who's the best on that day.
What's your prediction?
Uh, it's tough because I feel like there's more options for Gilbert Burns to win by submission, and then by knockout as well. So it's I'll probably have to go with Gilbert Burns. But yeah, that's just my opinion.
And Piotr Jan versus Jose Aldo. I love this fight. I know a lot of people have given it a hard time because Jose Aldo's coming off back-to-back losses, but he goes down as one of the greatest of all time. And if anyone deserves that shot, it's him. What's your prediction for that one?
That's another interesting one because apparently they've trained together as well. So I'd probably go with Jan on that one. He'll be the champion and probably fight Funkmaster Aljamain Sterling.
So I couldn't help but notice you've got Dodge written on your shirt. I
Yeah.
have him coming on. I'm going to interview him. He
Oh,
seems like an amazing guy. Um, what's your take on those guys there at Dodge Management?
oh, he's amazing. He's really helped me in my career. I wouldn't be in this position without him. I know that for sure. He's paved the way for me to get to the top, and we're just getting started. And yeah, I can't thank him enough with sponsors. Uh, just always checking in to see if I'm okay, and just guiding me to all the right ways and meeting the right people. And yeah, like I said, I can't thank him enough. He's helped me and many of my training partners who have connected with him, and yeah, I'm very very happy with him.
Another question I have before I let you go, I'll ask a couple more, one MMA related, one non-MMA related. Um, have you ever gone down to TriStar, and is that something you've considered potentially somewhere down the line, moving to a gym with so much talent, so much experience, guys like George, guys like Kevin Lee?
Yeah, I've trained there many times. I'd probably say 5 or 6 times I've trained there since I was 18. And oh yeah, it's an amazing experience. I've actually had a chance to spar with George. Obviously he took it easy on me, but yeah, I was 18 at the time and I didn't really start any wrestling. But yeah, he's an amazing person, very nice, very kind, and the environment is awesome. There's guys who are the best in jiu-jitsu, the best in striking, and yeah, great facility there. And I definitely recommend anyone to go train there for sure.
George being inducted in the UFC Hall of Fame. I was surprised he wasn't already in there, to be honest.
Yeah.
Is he the goat for you, or who is the goat for you?
Yeah, I'd say so. He's the best of all time, or greatest of all time. He was able to wrestle with the best, strike with the best, and he's not the best individually, right? He's not the best wrestler. He never wrestled in high school, and he's not the best striker, but he's able to have that mind to mix everything together, which makes him the greatest for sure.
And throughout the quarantine, what sorts of things have you been doing to keep yourself occupied? You mentioned family, you mentioned training. Any TV shows, any video games you've been doing? What have you been up to, and how did you stay keep your mind occupied?
Yeah, before I was in camp, I was playing a lot of Call of Duty. That game's awesome. And then as for Netflix, trying to think. Maybe that. Well, I recently started watching that show, The Floor Is Lava, with my family. I don't know if you've heard of that one. It's pretty funny. There's some funny things in there. They have to go through this obstacle course, and they have to jump from obstacle to obstacle without falling into the lava. It's actually pretty funny. Some people getting some gnarly accidents there. And other than that, just pretty much just training, keeping in shape, and I'm glad I didn't stop. Not that I would think of it, but I didn't stop training that whole time, because like everything was up in the air and not knowing what was gonna happen. So I was just still running, still hitting pads. Everything was the same, and now I'm 10 times better than I was before. So
All right, man. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing this fight, man. It's it's your time, man. I mean, you're undefeated, 7-0 going into this fight. So, wishing you all the best and support from Canada. We're all behind you, man.
thank you so much. I really appreciate the time.
All the best, man. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Don't
Yeah.
catch anything, and all the best.
All right. Perfect. Thank you.